Today I'm going to help you learn how to bring your photos to life and create feelings in others that they themselves don't understand and have never felt before, to the point that it hurts. Hi friends, I hope you're having a lovely day today. It is National Coffee Day. I have my very lovely free coffee from Dunkin' Donuts. It's a very underwhelming coffee, but it is free nonetheless. Today, I want to do something a little bit different and talk about my Lightroom workflow. I made a video about this in the past, but my presets are, my Lightroom workflow in general is always evolving into something new and more refined and different and lovely and what have you. Since the last time we talked about Lightroom, my preset that I use for my Street People blog has changed into something a lot different, even though it maintains a lot of the same features as the last preset. I also have another preset that I use for my Instagram, and I want to talk about both of those today. And I think hopefully it can bring some value to you guys in terms of just seeing how I work. It's always good to see how somebody else works, and also in terms of just efficiency. I have not created the most efficient model. I'm not a Nazi about that, but also I've created something that is extremely efficient for me and has made a workflow into as little the smallest amount of button pushes imaginable to make my already tedious workflow into something a little better. Anyway, so let's jump into computer world, shall we? Okay, here we are in Lightroom, friends. This is some photos I took in a coffee shop recently, my favorite coffee shop in town, to be exact. This is, the preset you're seeing right now is the colors that I use for my Street People blog in particular, or the preset and then customized to be specific for this photo. So the way I work is I have a preset and then I will take it and just perfect the crap out of it tediously until it is exactly what I want to see in the photo. But I use the preset so that I can maintain a consistent look throughout all my work. So what you see here is the final version of this photo that went to Street People. Also, I had a final version of this photo that went to potatoes. Nope, that wasn't it. Sorry everyone. This is anticlimactic. Here we go. This is the final version of the photo that went out for Instagram. So what I will do a lot of the times is I'll post the same photo in two different places, but I have a very consistent look that I want to maintain on Instagram. Then I also have a very consistent look that I want to maintain on Street People, namely these green shadows for Street People and, that kind of contrasty but very faded filmic sort of, everything's filmic. I don't even know why I specified that was particularly filmic, but so what I've done is, before I had to go all the way up to here. Let's just open this up right here. These are a bunch of presets I put together in the past, but I had to go all the way up to here to get to Milky, which is the one that I use for Instagram. And then I had to go all the way down here to get to Street People, which was down here. So what I did was I created a system where, and like I said, this is not the most efficient system in the world, but I think it is fairly efficient for for what I need to use it for. I named them 0 and then 01 and then 02 so that they would hang out on the top, the three presets that I use the most. I'm not really worried about this first preset because it's literally fixing a vignetting problem that I have with my 35mm DX lens on a full frame camera. You get a lot of vignetting. It's horrific, and I finally figured out a way to fix it. So that's what that's for. The second one is Milky, which is what I would use for Instagram. This is the beginning, and then, like I said, I tweak it and make it more green and do all kinds of crazy stuff. So let's talk about Milky first. Let's talk about how I have it set up. All my presets are set up pretty similarly. Everything's done in curves, like I'm sure I've said before. Anytime I ever talk about Lightroom or anything at all involving post-processing, it's all done in curves, and then a little tiny bit of these sliders. Like here, it's literally just the exposure slider. But most of it is done in curves. What I've recently started doing, which is an extremely efficient way to get specific kind of looks that I want according to each scene, is I have taken split toning and put it to use for my purpose and goal in life. So this is pink. We don't want pink. That's it right there. Gosh. Oh, it's so Art Deco. I can't even handle it. Can't even handle that beauty. Okay. So what I like to do is on certain scenes, I want the highlights of that scene, or really just the overall kind of tone of that scene, to be a little more warm, for example. So maybe here I want it to feel a little warmer. I'll bring it way up so I can kind of see what the color's doing here, and then I'll drag it to a place where I feel like it's a nice tone, and then I'll tone it way back because normally I don't want it that high. I'll tone it way back and just a little bit of warmth in there. On here, it's not necessarily what I would want it to be, and I would do a million tweaks to make it work to what I need to do, but you get the idea. Some of these I want to feel a little warmer than others, and then some of these I want to feel, maybe it's a nighttime shot, I want it to feel a little cooler, so I'll flip it over, I'll pull it all the way over here to 180 to 200 range in terms of numbers here, and I'll pull it up a little bit so that it feels cooler, and that seems to really work for me, because I have times where I really want something to feel, to just have a little bit more of a warm tone or a cool tone to it. And you can also play with this slider and just play with how much of the color spectrum it affects. That's probably not the right word, but color, the amount of color, shadows and highlights, and you can play with it. So that to me has been a really efficient way to help solve some problems. I've also played around a little bit with the oh gosh, what are these called? I guess just color channels, the specific color channels, and I'll desaturate things, and I'll bring up luminance and stuff like that. And I'm making it look horrible. Don't even pay. I'm just doing this for demonstrations. I promise I'm not interested in making it look this crazy and awful. Look, it's all desaturated and sad. Oh no. Anyway, so I'll play with these. Sometimes I'll pull the orange out. Sometimes I'll pull the red up. It depends on the scene, especially if there's trees in the background. A lot of times I will either pull, if I want the trees to be a little less pronounced, I'll pull the green down, pull it up for more, that kind of thing. But the idea is I want to set this system up so when, for example, I go into Street People, the Street People preset, I want it to feel a little more warm. I have the basic setup here, and I can play with the sliders and get it to where I want. So let's just, we'll just come up with a nice little fun look here. I'm destroying this. This image's history is going to be so horrifically long. I got to bring it back after. Hopefully I can find the export. So we'll bring it to a nice, fun place here. I'll play with the white balance too, and then we'll go down here. And then, like I said, I'll split tone it a little bit and bring it up. So this one, Street People, the preset, has actually been set to one of the warmer tones to begin with in the split toning, so that I don't have to move it around. Less button clicks, the better, and sometimes you can bring it up and make it a little warmer. So the idea is efficiency. That's my goal here. And I've made it to where I only have to hang out in this area for the most part. 90% of the time I'm using one of these three presets, and it's inside the user presets folder, and it's easy to see and it's easy to click and that kind of thing. That helps my workflow work out really well. I've heard people say that if you do something more than once, and I agree with this, you need to have a button for that thing, so that it's so you don't waste time, so you make yourself as efficient as possible. Sometimes I do other things. My grain, I always have a good bit of grain. Sometimes I'll do other things. I'll play with the profile, straighten out things, and tweak it. But the idea for this video is that I wanted to give you guys an idea of how I create efficiency in my workflow, and then I can hit this one, boom, export it to Instagram, not like that, and then hit this one, boom, export it to Street People, and it makes my very long, tedious, creative, exhausting workflow a little less long, tedious, creative, and still creative and exhausting. So, yes. Okay, guys, I hope that brought you some value, And if you have any questions, seriously, like about Lightroom, about this specific, you watched the video and you said, I wonder how he does that. How does he push that? Does he take those highlights out, or does he put them in? You know, does he strangle that clarity, or does he ride that clarity like lightning bolts? Common questions. Please ask, and of course, any other topic, please ask, and I certainly want to incorporate that. My goal is to scratch your itch, as always. That's it, guys. Thank you so much once again. I hope you have a lovely day, and I'm going to call Will, and we're going to have a sleepover, and you're not invited, so you got to ask questions to be invited to our sleepovers. Guilt. Bye, guys.